I mean, we've been told to expect pain. We've been told unequivocally over the weekend, without going into any detail, that it's going to be painful on Thursday and that everybody's taxes are going to rise. And I think the question a lot of people have in their minds is this: is this pain that we're going to go through on Thursday still a direct result of the Horlicks of a mini-budget that was abandoned after a few days and caused such damage to the economy? Are we still paying for that?
No, the vast majority of the issues that we have to deal with are issues that are facing every single country in the world.
Let's look at the Prime Minister then going to the G20 summit in Bali. I think it's the first time the world leaders will have met in face-to-face for some 3 years. One newspaper, The Times today, has the headline in its leader column, Bali, jaw. Foreign Secretary, how will we know this is something more than a talking shop?
Well, what is incredibly important, and we've seen that the lack of face-to-face international contact has a detrimental effect on international affairs.
40,000 migrants across the Channel so far this year. What will success look like under this new plan? I mean, where should the numbers be, say, in 12 months' time, if this has worked?
Well, obviously, what we are seeing is an unprecedented number of people making this attempt, and it's really important to understand that this arrangement with the French is incredibly important, and it, as I say, in terms of the numbers of arrests, the numbers of illegal crossings that have been prevented, has had a positive effect. But it is only part of an overall strategy. The overseas asylum application process is part of that. Working to ensure the countries that people are fleeing from are safe and secure and economically prosperous is part of the plan. And also, as I say, the Immigration and Borders Bill, which the Labour Party opposed, remember, is also about making sure our own processes are faster and more effective. So all of these things play an incredibly important part.
OK, so but what does that look like?
Evolving our response.
If it's 40,000 so far this year, by this time next year, under this new plan, can we expect, what, half as many migrants to cross the Channel?
Well, you're asking me to speculate on numbers that are impossible to predict.
For 1 second, do you think that people are fleeing the situation in Afghanistan so they can stay in a Premier Inn in Dover?
Well, we do know. So the Afghans that supported us whilst we were in Afghanistan, we do have a duty to them, and we are absolutely supporting them, and that's why we have supported a significant number of them coming to the UK. However, but this directly to your question, however, there are definitely people coming to the UK, not because they are fleeing persecution, because they are seeking economically a better life. Now, I completely get that. The UK is a great place to live and work, and it is unsurprising that people around the world want to come here. But we know, I mean, there's video footage. There are people posting there are people posting onto social media the fact that they are really happy that they are coming to the UK, that they've got to the UK seeking a better economic life, not fleeing persecution, seeking a better economic life.
But it's crass to suggest they're coming to stay in a hotel.
That is very, very different to the people fleeing persecution,
but people are
conflict,
not
like the Afghans,
risking their lives on a boat.
Some people
coming in order to stay in a hotel in Dover. They're just not.
The IRS says 30 billion of the black hole is down to what Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng did.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with those figures. I'm not an economist, but the point as a foreign minister, as the foreign secretary, what I've seen is that our interest rates, as I say, whilst higher than we're used to, are significantly lower than most of our international competitors. Our inflation rates, again, higher than we would want, and we're looking to address inflation as a real priority. But again, our inflation rate significantly lower than many of our international comparators. So we do have tough decisions to make, and the Chancellor will have to make sure we balance the books. We will always protect the people who are struggling financially and that need our support. We will always prioritise support to them.
But tax rises are coming for everybody, apparently, including those people.
But we do have to make sure that we balance the books, because if we don't, inflation will get out of hand, and that hurts everybody, including the people on the lowest incomes. All of these things work together, and focusing in just on one part of it, when we look at what the overall reduction in numbers next year is going to be, I think is the wrong way of doing that.
But I'm surprised that there isn't a target, an aim, that you must have a number in mind.
Well, we want to bring the number down significantly. That's the
Okay.
whole point. That's the whole point of these arrangements, and we will continue working, and we will keep looking at ways of bringing this number down. We're not relying just on this agreement with France, important though that is. We will be looking both domestically and internationally at every way we can to bring these numbers down, because it remains an absolute priority for the government to do so. It's really, really important when we have this discussion about illicit immigration. There are some people, like the Hong Kongers, like the Ukrainians, like the Afghans, who are fleeing war or persecution.
Yeah.
There are others who are economic migrants. We really need to recognise.
Okay.
And some of those economic migrants put themselves in the hands of people traffickers, but we have to recognise there is a difference.
How many do you think we'll finally send to Rwanda?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
None?
What we do, no, we're going through legal processes.
As you rightly say, the French have stopped thousands of people coming to this country, but it's looking at nearly 41,000 who've done it. Obviously, all parties, UK and France, we need to do better here.
Well, so it's an interesting phenomenon, because whilst the proportion of people, whilst the proportion of crossings has fallen, the actual number has increased significantly. So this year, working with us, the French authorities prevented twice as many illicit crossings as they did the previous year. But because the number of people attempting to make the crossings have increased so significantly, the proportion has dropped. But as I say, we've been working closely with our French counterparts. We're going to be working even more closely still.